I see you didn't respond to my last message on DeviantArt at BlackBusterCritic, and I'm not gonna bother doing so. Now, why is that? Why won't he respond? Well, let me show you guys. This guy basically asked, "Hey Tuner, why do you like Barney?" And Sonichog says it's merely for nostalgic-like purposes, nothing more. And I get real tired of using the nostalgia excuse, so here we go. I ask, how is it for nostalgia purposes when you've never get it up in the first place? Stop using nostalgia as an excuse. The show isn't even good for kids in the first place, which is why you're all crybabies, because the show programs kids to believe things are resolved quickly, everyone is nice and loving, and there is never any conflict. Smart parents don't let their kids indulge in Barney. They end up being messed up in their head, like Tuner. He's in love with a cat. And so then Sonichog replies, actually, the show isn't always about cheerfulness. More like 85 through 90%. Yeah, buddy. The other, 5 or 15 or 10% is singing about brushing your teeth, singing about pumpernickel bread, and all the other stupid garbage, and Sally the Camel, and all that stuff. And we obviously know the show isn't even close to what reality is. We're not that dim-witted. What I've been saying to you, Blackbuster, is that watching the older episodes of Barney and Friends brings a nostalgia-like feeling to my friends and I. Sure, I may have never given up liking the series, but that doesn't mean I'm a crybaby by any means. Oh, and Tuner's not in love with Cats Don't Dance. It's just one of the many things he likes. In short, why should you go around attacking fan bases that have done nothing to you in the first place? I mean, your videos were great, especially Galley's being a customer videos. But lately, you've been a jackass due to actions like this. I understand why people would hate Barney and other shows like that, of course. But what you have been doing is basically judging a book by its cover. Besides, since when did you control what people like? So here comes my response again. The entire show centers around a purple dinosaur dancing around with children doing various activities until the end where they hug and everyone goes home. It's dim-witted to even put yourself in front of such rabble. You can claim that the older episodes give you a nostalgic feeling, but I see that as an excuse. You would probably tell me how Barney is ruined today or Barney has changed a lot over the years, but that would just make your case worse. For an adult to indulge in such a show, the reasons behind it are very unsettling. Is it for the kids? Pedophile? Are you a pedophile? Is it because you like childish singing and dancing? The anthro dinosaurs? Furry? There is no right way for an adult to like Barney. You fail to realize that I've always attacked people. Sonic fans, Xbox 360 fanboys, customers, Blockbuster, etc. It's just when I turned my eye to your sick and twisted, probably autistic too, group, you guys started coming out and crying. How am I judging a book by its cover? Explain that. Because the contents I'm reading from your book is that you're a 5-year-old in an adult body that shows interest in a show made for little children, and that it's a regular part of your life, which can also mean that it can have a sexual adherence as well. And no, he's in love with Sawyer, a freaking cat. You'll probably deny it, but his pictures are worth 1,000 words. Well, it's not looking too good for this guy, Mr. Sonichog. Let's see what else he has to say. It's not actually an excuse, it truly does. If you want a better explanation, I can't give you one. In other words, I can't give you a clear reason I like Barney and Friends. The purple guy may be my favorite character, but I'm not a fairy by any means. So what if a majority of us have autism? Does that really matter in the grand scheme of things? I do realize that you've been attacking people this whole time, but the difference is that many of the other groups you've attacked clearly have done tons of stupid things, many of which I would agree with. Other than perhaps watching Barney and commenting on the franchise like many fans do about their favorite shows, video games, etc., might I add, what has our group done wrong? What I mean by judging a book by its cover is that you don't even get a chance to view it from another person's perspective before you completely attack someone on one little thing that they do, especially with comments on Barney franchise. However, I have to admit it's relatively unknown to understand why you find us to be freaks in a way. This particular point isn't really against you, as it's against many on the net. As for Tuner, I've known him for a couple of years now, and he's not into that kind of thing. He draws pics of him and other characters because he really likes them. Not sexually, of course. I mean, in one way, one would like Star Wars or Disney films. That's all. And now we're down to the end-all comment left by me. I made Mr. Sonichog completely forget about what we were talking about, to where he didn't even want to reply. Yes, it is an excuse. And yeah, you can't give me a real reason, because it's merely an obsession, and that's the word you want to avoid. Nostalgia is comparable to homesickness, longing for something, someone, someplace, etc. in the past. But for you, Barney has never ceased from your life. Your situation is like playing on the same crappy playground for 4-year-olds, which is okay when you're 4. Other kids get older, they never come back to the playground, but you remain there. 20 years go by and you're still on that playground for kids. Nostalgia? No. You've never left the playground. It's always been a part of your everyday life. People walk by watching an adult play on a playground for young kids, and it doesn't look good for you. As far as I'm concerned, yes, you are most likely a furry. You watch a show with furries running around playing with kids. You like Sonic. You even made your own crappy Sonic with colors and stupid Sprite comics. And yes, having autism does matter. If I know early, I'll know it'll be impossible to get you to understand anything outside your world of comfort. It's like asking a calculator to do spell check. It can't do anything outside the initial programming. And I've attacked many groups for the simple fact that they're obsessed with something moronic. You see my attacks on the Barney fans to be wrong because you're one yourself. Calculator can't do spell check. Let me tell you, all those other fans don't see why I attack them either. What has your group done wrong? You're adults that are into Barney, promoting furry, pedophilia, and a false sense of reality. Vice versa, son. You fools don't look at yourselves to see what you look like to the general person. Why the heck would I want to see Barney from your deluded perspective? Why would I want to see the perspective of an adult that has a diaper fetish? Your logic is messed up. You're being blind again to things you don't want to see. Tuner is in love with Sawyer. And that's one thing that needs to be weeded out as soon as possible. You're telling me he's not in love with her when he draws himself giving her a massage? Drawing the #1 sexy kitty and saying, I still desire her life? Not to mention he made a freaking list of animated women I think are sexy, and Sawyer is at the top, followed by Minnie Mouse, Daisy Duck, and Lola Bunny. He's a freak that needs a reality check. So you guys can see why he didn't reply to my last comment, because it completely owned his mind. That analogy I used was pretty darn good. The one with the playground. What does it look like when an adult is over there playing on a playground intended for 4-year-olds? He looks like a weirdo. He looks like a creeper. He looks like a pedophile. He looks like a man-child. All of which are not good. All of which is what Chris Chan is, and he's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And you guys fit into the exact same category. Even though you guys are a lot, you guys have better vocabulary, and you're a lot better versed, I guess. But another analogy I could use would be like a kiddie pool. Kiddie pool is okay when you're 4, when you're 5. But when you're older, it's time you got into the adult pool. But for you guys, the pool is closed. You know why? Because you guys are man-children. And you still would ignore all the things that Tuner has put up on his channel. And you still support him, saying that he is not a furry, that he does not want to have sex with those characters, when he has said it himself. He wants to give Sawyer massages. The dude wants to have sex with a cat, Sawyer, a mouse, Minnie Mouse, and Daisy Duck. Which, by the way, also makes him a murderer. Firstly, things you find sexy, what do you do with them? You bone them. Things that I find sexy, I bone them. I find women sexy. That's why I bone women. He finds these animated animals sexy, which makes him a furry. And, you know, Daisy, liking Daisy, that's also a part, not just fur faggotry, but that's aviophilia. And aviophilia is one of the worst forms of bestiality. Why? Because it kills the animal. There are people out there that have sex with geese and ducks, and in the process, it ends up killing the animal. Why? Because the only orifice on that animal that's big enough to stick something in is where the eggs come out of. And it's not made for things to be put in, which is why they die. So Tuna 1994 is a duck murdering fur fag. And only you, TrulySonichog, that's his YouTube name, and Sonichog on DeviantArt, only a person like you, a Barney fag like you, could look past all the stupid stuff that he said, like finding a frog sexy, and still be his friend, and never rebuke him on any kind of stupid garbage like that. Only a person like you, which is why you don't have the brain capacity, you don't have the intelligence, you don't have the audacity to come up against me. Only people like you have the ineptitude to remain being man-children for the rest of their lives. And frankly, as you can see, it's not doing you any good.